please consider supporting us at mulliganbrothers.com, where you can now buy the hardest worker in the room t-shirts, my favorite t-shirts of the brand new merchandise that's dropped on there. Everyone who's been buying it, you've been helping support these projects. It's all linked down below. But first of all, let's jump into the video. Was it a tour in Afghanistan where the incident happened? Was that
It was, yeah.
tour? Yeah. So for me, can you the morning of, do you remember the morning of? I know some people have vivid recollections before stuff like this happens of the day. Is that something you can remember yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah, we were called up to the headquarters compound. It was Christmas Eve, 2007. We were called up to the headquarters compound and we were given a brief on a foot patrol that we were going to go on. Something we'd done a million times before in the 3 months that we'd been there. We went back to our compound as normal, started preparing all of our kit and equipment as normal. And then we went back up to the headquarters compound. We formed up by the rear entrance of our camp in 2 sections and we got ready to leave. Now the idea of this patrol was that we would have 2 sections with 8 men in each section. We'd leave the rear entrance of camp. 1 section would go north, 1 would go south. We got told to patrol the immediate perimeter of the camp, pushing no more than 300 meters out. And then the 2 sections would meet at the front entrance of the camp, so now the opposite side, secure the location, close things down, and finish up for the day. Now, in terms of what we had done to that point, this was the most basic kind of patrol that you could ever go on. Prior to that, we had been going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles out, 8, 9, 10 hours, whatever it was. We had a mission, we had an objective. We'd go out, we'd execute that and we'd come back. This was literally go out the back door, walk around camp, come in the front door. Now we had no intelligence that gave us any cause for concern. We had a very firm grasp on our area of operations. We knew what was going on. So it was a walk in the park, or so we thought. The time came, they opened up the rear entrance. I was second in command of the section that went north, the other guys went south, and we went out and did what we were tasked to do. About 5 hours into it, both sections then found themselves at the opposite side of camp. So now at the front entrance, ready to close things down, to finish it up and go back into camp. Now my section were on a high piece of ground, what we called the North Fort. Just underneath us, when we looked down, we could see the base that we're working out of. And then beneath that, just off to the side of the main dirt road that ran through the area, was the other section that we left with earlier in the day. Now, because we're in an elevated position, tactically we're in a very advantageous position because we can see everything around us and it's a lot easier to fight going down a hill than it is up. So our job to finish up was to give those guys protection so they could go back in the camp, get behind the perimeter wall. They were safe, they would then protect us, we'd go back in, finish up, done for the day. Very, very easy, basic, low-level stuff. So we're up on the high feature and the section commander took his half of the section and started giving them fire positions. I took my half of the section and about 4 meters in front of me, there was a shallow bowl in the ground. Now, normally what you would do, if you go firm on a patrol, if you stop, you would take cover behind a building, a wall, a tree, a rock, whatever you can find to give yourself protection and cover. But we're on a high feature. And I saw this bowl and thought, okay, if we get in there, we get down on our stomachs, you're not going to be able to see us. It's going to be very difficult to attack us. This is the best form of protection that we can have given the environment that we're in. So I jumped in. The other half of the section started taking up their fire positions. When they were happy, they gave me the thumbs up. I had a couple of last minute checks I had to run through. And then when I was happy, I slowly started walking over towards the position that I selected for myself. And as I went to get down to my stomach, I put my right knee on the floor. And that was the moment that I knelt on and detonated an improvised explosive device.
So, I mean, that, like, what is a recollection of it happening?
I remember it, yeah, I remember all of it. Yeah, it was, you have to imagine the terrain that we're working in, right? It's very, very sandy, very, very dusty. So when this IED detonated, this huge dust cloud was created and I couldn't see anything and I was in no pain and I could hear all the guys around me shouting and screaming, trying to figure out what had gone on. And my gut instinct was that we'd been attacked. I thought someone had fired a rocket or a mortar on our position. It had exploded nearby, which is why this dust cloud was created. And instantly I was thinking, find out where the attack came from, neutralize the threat and get everybody out safely so we can get back to somewhere a bit better tactically where we could fight from, and then that reduces the chance of anybody being hurt or killed. So I'm just listening while, you know, everyone's shouting and screaming and I can't see anything, and I just wait for this dust cloud to settle, and I think if I can see what's going on, I can assess the situation better, make some calls and figure something out. And the cloud gets to about chest height, and you got to imagine I'm pumped full of adrenaline, my fight and flight is kicked in, I'm ready to go. And I'm looking around and I'm panicking, just hoping that everyone's okay and I can't see anybody. So I carry on waiting for this dust cloud to settle, and it hits the ground, it disappears, and I look down to where my legs should have been, and they had both been completely ripped off from the knees down. Yeah, it was, anyone who's been in any sort of traumatic incident will understand this, but it's very surreal. I think your brain finds it very hard to process what it is it's looking at. And then when you add to that, the fact that you're not in any pain, just very uncomfortable. It's like an intense pins and needles feeling. You're trying to look at this and process it, and it doesn't feel real. And there's no pain, which makes it feel even less real. And it's just, everything inside is going at 1,000 miles an hour, but everything outside is in slow motion while you're trying to figure this out. And you know, the way your body reacts is crazy, the way it just goes into like self-preservation mode. But despite, you know, the severity of my injuries, both legs, my right arm was torn off. It was still attached, but everything was just shredded inside. Despite the severity of my injuries, this crater that I was in, I've read the report, it was now 12 feet deep by 15 feet around. There were 6 other devices around me. Despite all of that, like I said earlier, those men that I was working with were so professional and good at what they did. I never really thought that I wouldn't make it out of there. And they just clicked straight into action. That no one panicked, nobody froze, nobody went outside of protocol. We'd rehearsed this kind of stuff. They all just kicked straight in, did what they needed to do, and the medic got to me very, very quickly. You know, he did what he needed to do. He put the morphine in, put the tourniquets on, put me on a stretcher. My right leg was still attached, and we had to pick it up and put it on my stomach because it was hanging off the end of a stretcher. I don't know how they got me off this high feature because I had my eyes closed, but they got me out of this crater, off this high feature, to where a vehicle was waiting. And they put me in the back of the vehicle, and these are not tarmac roads, they're very, very bumpy. So the guy driving floors the accelerator, and I'm getting thrown all over the back of this vehicle. He starts climbing up this hill to go into the front entrance of the camp, and he's got to go left and right because of the terrain. And the medic fell out the back. I fell out the back. The guy driving swung around, reached out to grab me to hold me in. He grabbed the femur bone that was coming out my right leg, kind of held me. My tailbone is on the back end of the vehicle, the tailgate. He held me half in, half out. The medic was fine because that other section we were with earlier with those 8 heavily armed men, they were at the bottom of the hill, so the medic was safe. He carried on driving, got me back into the camp, got me to the helicopter landing site. And the last thing I remember is this Chinook coming into land, this huge sandstorm that it creates from the propeller blades, the exhaust, the heat from the exhaust beating down on me in the back of this vehicle, and then like the mechanical noise of the tailgate dropping, and then I blacked out at that point, which is when I later found out that they had classed me as dead. You know, that was it. When I got on the back of the helicopter, they checked me for signs of life. They said I didn't have any of what they were looking for, and they put me in a corner because there was one other casualty, and they had to get to work on him to make sure that he didn't die as well. So yeah, intense, pretty intense.
Everybody who's been going over to Mulliganbrothers.com and buying the t-shirts, like the Hardest Worker in the Room t-shirt, the Inspire Change t-shirt, the LFG t-shirts, the hoodies, the Memento Mori posters as well. Without that support, we would not be able to do this. So thank you. Thank you for all the support. If you are supporting us in any way, please tag us on Instagram at Jordan Mulligan Brother, at Mulligan Brothers, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for all the support. Have a blessed and productive day, and I'll see you in the next one.